Ever since the invention of photography, they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. That is certainly true of these 10 photos that you are about to see. Yes, they might seem ordinary, but they have incredibly dark origins. We're going to take a look at them to see what is hiding behind the camera flash. Let's talk about it. David A. Johnson is seen in this photograph, just relaxing. He's having a good time. It looks like he's not doing anything particularly special, just relaxing and smiling at the person who is taking the photo. What you may not realize is this photo of Johnston was taken just hours before his untimely death at the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens here in the United States. It was a shocking moment, and Johnston, who was studying the volcano, sadly passed away when it erupted. His friends tried to get him to evacuate, but he refused, wanting to stay and study it. And as a result, he died. And this is the last known photograph of him just before the eruption when his friends were asking him to evacuate. Ah, yes, this looks like a lovely father and daughter walking along a wonderful street in Northern Ireland. Unfortunately, this photo was taken just moments before a car bombing by the group Real Irish Republican Army. They were a radical splinter group of the IRA that opposed a ceasefire brokered between Ireland and the United Kingdom. And as a result, they ended up slaughtering a whole bunch of people in this bombing. Now, the father and daughter that you see in this photo did survive, but they were injured. And to my knowledge, at least I couldn't find anything to the contrary, they made full recoveries. But again, it's just a testament to how a photo can capture such an ordinary scene right before such a tragic event. This photo might seem like it could be special to me. It is a photograph of a place called Jacob's Well, located near Cypress Creek in Texas, which is also my home state. It is certainly beautiful. It looks amazing. It looks like just a regular swimming hole that you can just dive into on a hot summer Texas day and enjoy your time in the Lone Star State. However, this place, despite its cheery name, has sort of a poor reputation. Many locals won't go swimming in it. Why? So many divers have died. Now, no one who is just kind of splashing around on the surface, but anyone who tries to go into a deep dive into Jacob's Well has been lost. At least 8 people have died as a result of trying to explore the caverns below the surface. Many people attribute it to the fact that it's so windy underneath the water. Many people now believe that it is haunted as a result of this because of how many deaths have been associated with Jacob's Well. And as it pains me to say, if you plan on going for a deep dive into the tunnels underwater, I cannot recommend this place, even though it is in my home state, my beloved Texas, and it's not named after me, obviously, but it has my namesake. Just the fact that so many people have perished trying to explore its caverns, or at least because so many people have gotten injured. I cannot stress enough that if you go to Jacob's Well, sure, check it out, swim, on the top. Do not go any further into its caverns. It might be more dangerous than you know. So in this picture, we have a seemingly normal family. We've got what seems to be a father with his daughter on his lap. It's a wonderful family picture. It looks totally normal. But what if I told you that the little girl sitting on the man's lap was actually a kidnapping victim? Yes, the man who she is seated on is John Edward Robinson, a serial killer, a con man, a kidnapper who is known in the media as the slave master. And in fact, that little girl who is sitting on his lap, she is the daughter of one of his victims that he ended her life. The daughter, she went on to be adopted by John's brother, who did not know the origin of where John found her. He said that he had adopted her from a neighbor who couldn't take care of her anymore. And so he asked his brother to take care of this little girl. And unfortunately, they didn't find out the truth until she was much older. The brother was very heartbroken about this, as was the girl when she was older, obviously. Fortunately, John Robinson, he was captured, and I believe in 1985, though his killing spree had been far long. In 2005, He accepted responsibility for more homicides in the Missouri area, and instead of the death penalty, he received life sentences as a result. A lot of people believe he is the first internet serial killer because he would make contact with people through online chat rooms and would talk about his life, his career, quote, quote, and everything in between. But at least for the little girl, she is safe. And while we mourn the loss of her mother, it's good to know that she didn't become another victim of John Robinson. Okay, here we have a seemingly ordinary photo of First Lady Lynn Carter shaking hands with a Democrat Party supporter, and it seems to be very lively, very jovial. But what you don't know is that that is the killer clown John Wayne Gacy, the man who was a sex offender, who harmed several young boys, and many he murdered. He was a serial killer based in Illinois who did all kinds of horrible things to boys and young men throughout his spree. And what a lot of people don't realize is he was a big supporter of the Democrat Party and would frequently attend fundraisers, galas, parties, all in the hope of raising money. And as you can see, it's obvious she doesn't know him. I'm not trying to connect the Carters to John Wayne Gacy, but you can see that she was told, oh, this is a regular at our events. And fortunately, Gacy was caught, he was arrested, and he passed away in 1994 in prison at the State Correctional Center in Illinois. You wouldn't know anything about it if we didn't know who he was. This would just look like a regular campaign photo. Most of you know that I am married to a Mexican woman, and because of this, I have been exposed to the luchador sort of subculture of Mexico. And right now, it looks like you see a female luchador. She's holding her championship belt. She has won a title, and this is a very impressive photo. It just shows the bravado that you can even have as a female luchador. But what you don't realize is that this is Juana Barraza. She is known in Mexico as the Little Old Lady Killer. She was a violent serial killer who some people believe she murdered up to 48 people. She was convicted of murdering 16, but like I said, some people are saying it's upwards into the 50s, and she would use her fame and fortune to kind of get in with her victims. One of the things about her was she would regularly target people who looked like her mother. She claimed her mother was abusive, her biological father was abusive. She did seem to kind of have a normal life. Her stepfather adopted her and helped her. She claims for a time to have been homeless and that contributed to her violent outrages. And so she took it out on the ring, but unfortunately, she also took it out on victims who didn't even know her, who never wronged her. And it is just so sad to see someone with such a prominent career take on such a life of crime. Sports fans might be intrigued by this. This is the baseball card of Mark Jackson. He is a really famous NBA player. He was a point guard and he did all kinds of amazing feats as an athlete. He played for the New York Knicks, he played for the Los Angeles Clippers, the Indiana Pacers, the Denver Nuggets, Toronto Raptors, the Utah Jazz, and the Houston Rockets from 1987 to 2004. It's amazing. What's unique about this baseball card is in the bottom left-hand corner, you can make out two figures. Let me show you more specifically. What you may not realize is that is Lyle and Eric Menendez. That's right, the Mendez brothers who brutally murdered their parents and then later tried to victim blame them so they could get their money. They inherited a fortune. They went on this huge spending spree, buying property, going to big events like this. And later they tried to play the oh, boo hoo, our parents hurt us. There is absolutely no evidence of this. There's a lot of hearsay, sure, a lot of gossip, but nothing that ever proved that their parents did anything wrong to them. And it's just so shocking that they were captured on this baseball card. And again, Mark Jackson has nothing to do with this. He was just playing the game. He didn't know who they were. To my knowledge, he never met them. And it is just so sad that his basketball card got tainted by the presence of these two sickos. This one is not simply a photo, it's actually a screenshot of a popular game show called The Dating Game. And basically, what it would be is you would get a guy or a girl, and they would go on, and you would have contestants to see who could win. And in this case, this man, he won the date with this very beautiful young woman. She ended up not going on a date with this guy because she said that he gave off a creepy vibe. Boy, were her instincts correct. That is none other than Rodney Alcala, who was a serial killer who did all kinds of things. His killing spree spanned between 1977 to 1979. Some people say it was even longer than that, depending on who you ask. He was originally from San Antonio before he moved to New York, and then also moved to California, where people think he murdered in all 3 states. Some people believe his body count is as high as 130, although he was only conclusively linked to 8. And as a result of his appearance on the dating game, he became known as the dating game killer. It is so sad because this poor contestant, she just wanted to have a good time, maybe go out for dinner and some drinks with a guy she met on a game show. And then she met this guy, Rodney, like I said, who was a brutal murderer. Fortunately for her, she had really good instincts, and so she didn't go out because she could have become one of his victims. So at first glance, this just looks like a child got a hold of their mother's lipstick and then proceeded to stain the wall with it. Unfortunately, that is not the case. This is the work of serial killer William Hirons, who was known as the lipstick killer because of this wall scroll. And it is a shame because this is the wall of one of his victims, specifically Frances Brown. It actually says, it's hard to read because of how it's written. For heaven's sakes, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself. Whatever the case may be with this guy, he was definitely a sicko and he deserved to be caught. He was only convicted of harming 3 victims, but some people think it was way more. And he ended up dying in prison due to complications with diabetes. But this wall scroll, like I said, at first glance, if you don't read it, it looks just like some kid did it, with how there are misspellings, it's grammatically incorrect, and everything in between. It is really strange that he thought he should do this. It ultimately led to his capture and, fortunately, his arrest and conviction. All right, so what do we have here? This seems like just a candid shot of a young Japanese woman who seems to be having a good time, smiling, laughing. However, this is actually a police photo of Yuka Takaoka, who is a Japanese hostess. Some people have said that she is a real life yandere because she was convicted and sent to prison for 3.5 years for attempting to murder her boyfriend. That's right, she was a hostess at a nightclub in the Shinjuku ward, and she had a boyfriend named Phoenix Luna, who was a bartender. Some reports say that he was actually more like a bouncer, so it's kind of conflicting, but they were dating. And apparently in Japan, the culture around bartenders and bouncers they're kind of like sort of minor celebrities. They become well known, and he had a big social media presence. And she became jealous because he was getting social media messages from other girls who had met him at nightclubs. And there's no evidence that he ever cheated on Yuka. However, she just assumed that he did, and so she stabbed him. He did not pass away, fortunately, and he called the police, and she was arrested. And this iconic photo was taken of her. She's smiling, she's laughing. But if you don't know what a yandere is, it's basically a term that comes from Japanese fiction, although it has imported itself into real life. And it's a dangerous, sinister girl who is cute and she seems sweet, but she actually has a sinister side. So Yuka has been sort of connected to that because of this infamous stabbing. I hope you liked this video. And tell me, did you like this new format I did where it's audio and I'm just speaking over it? Let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe here at Studio Jake After Dark. And remember, you can support me on my locals community. The link is in the description. And don't forget to ask, what happens when you turn out the lights?